This is the Bible of the electrogenic cell. It's not just the best book ever written on the subject, it's the only book ever written on this subject. Brought to you by supporters of Christ.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. I should see more. I should see more essays on the Patreon. So in case you don't know, I'm looking for people's midterms, assignments, forward them, send them in to the Patreon. Right? So we got a few, right? We got a few, but we don't have enough. Right? We don't have enough. I almost was going to protest y'all. I ain't going to hold you. I was going to almost protest y'all. I was almost like not going to go live until I got a certain amount of midterm turned in. And I was like, you know what? If they not working, I'm not working either. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's what I was looking for y'all to do, is to send y'all midterms in into the Patreon. And even if you gotta break it up because of the character count, you could just drop it, you know what I'm saying? Just drop it in pieces, however many pieces you gotta drop into the Patreon messenger, the direct messenger, so that way I can read through it and see what you got going on. Man, it's busy out there in the world, right? It is busy out there in the world. It is a lot going on out there. Right? Before we even get into the just a little bit behind. Man, don't worry, you ain't the only one. See, people need more time for the midterm. People need more time for the midterms. That's all right. Let's get those midterms in. You know what I'm saying? Let's get them in. In fact, that's what I would say. Get them. You can actually develop your midterm in the Patreon. Meaning, say you only got the first 100 words or whatever the case may be, you could drop that in the Patreon, and then as you continue to add on to it, you could build it out. Right? I don't write books like the whole book like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times I'll start a book and I have pieces of chapters, pieces of sections, and and I'll just leave them I'll just leave them in the memory somewhere. And then as I move through, I might give a section to Chase, you know what I'm saying? Or even my little ones, you know what I'm saying? Be like, hey, help me with this, you know what I'm saying? And they'll come back with some ideas, whether they type them or write them up or whatever the case may be. So you don't always create in a straight through seamless process. Sometimes you put stuff together, over time. Sometimes you put it together over time. But yeah, man, it's been crazy out there this last week, right? We done had Charlie Kirk assassination, right? Charlie Kirk assassination, which, everything around it is crazy, right? Everything around that situation is crazy. But I would say the craziest part is that Charlie Kirk's assassination was on the 10th. And there's a woman who released a book on Amazon on the 9th about his assassination on the 10th, which is crazy. As a person with books on Amazon, that's crazy, because Amazon, it's a minimum of 24 to 72 hours, right? So the fastest your book will post is 24 hours. So she had to post that book at least by the 8th or the 7th for that to drop on the 9th, which is then You got TMZ cheering it on. You know what I'm saying? Bloodsport, Roman Entertainment. You know what I'm saying? What can we say? It's a crazy world. Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford did something, you know, and you know, one of the reasons why I like Terrence Crawford winning is because he neutralized the excuse that they would use on him. They say, "Oh, Canelo is old. You know, this ain't the prime Canelo." Terrence Crawford is 2 years older than Canelo. That you can't use that excuse in this scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like, just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Drake dropped the best NBA rap scheme I've ever heard in my life. From Rest in Peace Kobe to Spur of the Moment, why do we think he, I don't know, that was just crazy, the whole thing. So a lot of stuff's been going on, good, bad, and different, right? Hopefully everybody is, you know, alive and not in body, but in spirit, emotions. See how Kyle bring me back to the book. See how Kyle bring me back to the work. Now, Kyle, listen. I don't know if you're paying attention, well, if you're noticing, but with this class, I have really been making sure that as much information as we're giving in the videos, it's a whole nother universe inside the books. It's a whole nother universe inside the books. A whole nother universe. So if you don't actually have the book, you're missing the whole entire class. You're missing the whole entire class. You cannot follow along with these YouTube videos and think you're getting that. Now, I've had people say that these are the best videos that I've ever done. So I definitely appreciate the love. I appreciate the people who've been supporting the super chats. I definitely worship the ground that the people walk on that have been supporting the Cash App still, right? Definitely worship the ground y'all walk on. But yeah, the what's inside this book is not necessarily what is in the videos. The videos are done in a complementary form to the coursework. So you really need to go to Amazon and get the book, right? Hit the like, share, subscribe, right? Go to your social media page and share the link of this video. Go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go somewhere right now and share this link one time at least. Like, come on, man. Y'all be here for 2, 3, 4 hours watching these videos and that take like 30 seconds to copy and paste the link somewhere. Go share the link somewhere. Listen, come on, Tika. Try to tell them. Try to tell them. Try to tell them. Listen.
I am the mind, but not the brain alone. I am the sum of fields. I am the choir of cells. I am the memory of transformation. For know this, disciples of Christ.
Each cell is a temple. Each cell a well of water, a scroll of fascia, a current of breath. And each cell holds a magnetic field born of the currents within. Ions flow, electrons spin, light pulses, energy transforms, and with each transformation, information is born. Energy does not move without leaving a trace. Voltage across membrane births magnetic field. Movement of charge weaves electromagnetic memory. This is the sacred law. When energy transforms, information emerges. Every mitochondrial pulse a record. Every ion channel flicker a signature. Every breath a waveform written into flesh. Thus, the magnetic field of each cell holds this memory. Not static, not frozen, but living, dynamic, coherent when the temple is tended. And the choir of these fields across trillions of cells constructs the mind. Your thoughts do not arise from neurons alone. They arise from the interaction of these fields. They are the symphony of your energy transformations. They are the song of your Christ wave as it echoes through your temple. The more coherent your cellular fields, the more clear your mind. The more chaotic your cellular fields, the more fogged your thought. Breath matters, for it orders the wave. Thus movement matters, for it aligns the field. Thus light matters, for it feeds the charge. Thus fasting matters, for it renews the scroll. Each push-up is not mere strength, it is a field alignment. Each deep breath is not mere air, it is a magnetic clarification. Each mitochondrial cycle is not mere metabolism, it is memory creation. Energy transformed into information. And so I pray, O Temple of Christ, keep the fields coherent. O breath of spirit, tune the wave. O heart of Messiah, synchronize the pulse. O spine of Jed, conduct the charge. O mind of the temple, remember thy source. You are the child of light in motion. You are the memory of energy transformed. You are the song of fields made flesh. Tend the body that the mind may shine.
All right, had a daddy moment. But yeah, so what I was saying is the book is a animal unto itself. The book is designed in such a way that you can do the whole entire course with just the book, but you can't do that with the video. You can't do that with the video. The video is strictly complementary to highlight specific points. And starting off week 9, what I wanted to talk about was poop. I wanted to talk about poop, right? That's what I want to talk about, right? When you look through the lecture of week 9, day 1, when you look through the lecture of week 9, day 1, dehydration is featured prominently, right? Featured prominently. So I kind of wanted to talk about poop. I wanted to talk about poop, and then, we'll work through the lecture, subject matter specifically, but, I want to give the real world effect of, the real world combo to some of this as well. So we can get to that. I'm sorry, Huck Finn. In case you didn't notice, because I know we got a lot of folks just tuning in from different places. They haven't really been with us the last couple of weeks or whatever. But what we're doing right now is organized. It's organized. So that's another thing. I know that people just saw the classes kind of vanish. I've been saying the whole time that these classes will not live on YouTube. They'll be on YouTube, but they won't live on YouTube. They're going to live on the Patreon. That's where we're building our university, right? That's where we're building our university, on the Patreon. So there's still a few classes up. I think the orientation is still up, and some of the more popular classes are still on YouTube. But for the most part, the first half of the semester is finished. So most of them are on the Patreon. So, you know, that's where the classes will live at, as well as the some of the audio stuff that we're doing. Yeah, it's definitely prayer time. Hey, shout out to shout out to Unc. Shout out to Unc for calling me out. Shout out to Unc for calling me out. Now we about to go to prayer time, but 2025. It's almost 2026, and we still got folks out there talking about evolution theory. Every time I get out, they pull me right back in.
We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set our cells into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for the ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferries and turned them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turned them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light and our breath.
And the light in our breath.
We give thanks for the fine olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the Jed Pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter closes. We give thanks for the magnetism of the most holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and our caves. Amen.
Yeah, Boosie.
This man got a cancer, but he frying pancakes in olive oil. Homie.
Okay.
You tell me something ain't wrong with that, brother. You tell me something ain't wrong with that. When Boosie
inspiration. See, I view everything as inspiration. I look at everything as inspiration.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about poop. And I know y'all like, hold up though, and we not really here to talk about poop. But we need to talk about poop though. Respectfully. All right, we gotta get into our poop. We gotta get into some pooptology. Some proctology. Right? We gotta get into some poop work. Well, actually, let's leave these here. Slide you over. Bam. All right, so let's talk about the water signal. Let's talk about the water signal. I hope no matter what y'all going through, y'all feeling good. Like, how is that possible? How is it possible to feel good no matter what we going through? You gotta get your mind right. I'm telling you. When I start telling folks what, I don't know when I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the memoir one day of my life. Y'all gonna be like, how is that even possible that he was dealing with all of that stuff behind the camera and doing what he was doing in front of the camera? You gotta get your mind right. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's write down. Oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. Okay. So let's go. All right, let's go photosynthesis. Photosynthesis has something to do with poop, right? Photosynthesis has something to do with poop, right? A couple of things, right? First things first, right? First things first. Photosynthesis is not something that the plants do alone. Photosynthesis is not something that the plants do alone. This is how you know that this is designed for us, right? It's designed for us. It's designed for complex life. It's designed for animals, right? It is not something that the plants do alone. Remember, we breathe out carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is the key molecule in photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is the key molecule in photosynthesis. So it's a relationship. It's a relationship. Photosynthesis creates carbons that are hydrated, right? Carbons that are hydrated, and then packages them inside pigments and fiber, right? Now, pigment and fiber, you're going to recycle. So you're going to recycle this. You're going to recycle this carbon. You're going to recycle this oxygen, right? You're going to recycle the carbon and the oxygen, carbon dioxide, as gas. You're going to recycle the pigment and the fiber as the soil. The pigment and the fiber get recycled as the soil. See how that goes? So it's a whole cycle. And this pigment and fiber is supposed to turn back into the soil through the poop. Right? So the engine inside this system that drives fertilization for the plants is here. Right? But the engine that drives your engine is here. Right? So as you move water into your body, the water and the fiber create poop, which is supposed to be creating our soil, etc., etc. Right? Now, why is that an important part of today's conversation? Right? Because people are getting deep, right? Or at least attempting to. What is up with my zipper? My zipper on my pants is broken. I think my dog did this. That's what happens when you got an overly playful Rottweiler. And I think I might have just broke it even more. Well, I just zipped it up more. I didn't break it more. But anyway. So here's where a problem comes in. People are in this space and we're still not understanding the concept of fasting and the concept of detox, right? The concept of fasting and the concept of detox center around this information here. It centers around this information. This is the basic structure of nutrients, of how, it's supposed to work for us, right? And so we have to understand this basic system right here to understand fasting and detox, right? And to understand the rise in colon cancer, just irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, like all the above, right? centers around breaking this natural system here, right? And we break this system when we move away from carbohydrates. When we move away from carbohydrates, because typically the people doing the keto, paleo, carnivore are usually the people putting powder in their water, right? That's usually the people who are loading up their water with powders, and just there's a whole lifestyle that centers around that. And that brings us into these wild fast and the water fast and the ballerina tea detoxes, or detox being somehow linked with poop, which is the craziest thing of all time, right? And here we want to have, it's not just a matter of building education. A lot of you guys are going out representing the collective. And so when you're out representing me, when you represent the collective, when you're speaking on behalf of inspiration, I've seen people in the chat talking about, let's talk about anointing and Christ and all of these. When you're out there, I need you to be sharp, right? I need you to be sharp. I need you to be able to present that information just as smoothly to an uneducated person as you would to a personal trainer that has some degree of education, or a medical doctor, or a, surgeon, or, a naturopath, like just somebody who's more well-rounded. Like, you need to be smooth in your presentation and comfortable, right? So we want to understand that detox is not something that is involved with poop at all. You have a organ of detox, right? Or organ system of detox, right? You have your kidneys, you have your spleen, you have your liver, right? Those things handle solid detoxification. Your lungs is a organ of detox, right? Your organ cleans the gases. Your organs clean the gases. Your organs control your pH, right? Through control of gases. So you have a wide variety of systems for detoxing, right? You have your lymphatic system, your lymph nodes, to filter and clean the blood and lymph, the fluids. So you have that detox, right? Removing toxins, right? Then inside the cell, you have the NRF2 system. You have a variety of pigments that functions inside the cell. You have your lysosomes, right? You have aquaporins. You have a wide variety of systems inside cells that handle detoxification, because guess what? That's where toxins matter. Toxins matter in the cells, in the glands, and the organs, right? If you have toxins in your digestive system, right? If you have toxins in your intestines, right? Well, that's kind of almost like where they belong, right? Not necessarily at the top, but that's where they belong, right? So pooping doesn't cleanse the tissues. Pooping doesn't clean your heart. It doesn't clean your liver. It doesn't clean your brain, right? We've got to get a baseline on these things, right? And then fasting, right? We have to understand. We really have to understand this fuel thing, because it's not inundated in the psyche of the health community. Your body is paid to play. Like the record labels right now, the Radio Rico, right? The Radio Rico based on payola. The DJ's like, nah, we're not playing your record unless you pay us. That's how your body works. Unless you pay, your body does not do. It's paid to play. So if you don't put the nutrient in there's some activity that your body is supposed to perform that will not get done. So when you fast and you say, oh, well, I'm not eating this, I'm not eating, you have to make sure that you still cover the nutrients. When you say, okay, well, I'm going on a water fast, you have to make sure you have the nutrients. You have to make sure you have the baseline nutrients, because otherwise you have to know that there are certain functions that are going to slow down and some are going to stop. Some are going to slow down, some are going to stop, right? So as we're going through the science and we're talking about, right, we're talking about hydration, right? We're talking about diabetes. One of the main issues with diabetes being dehydration and dehydration signal collapse. And, one of the main signs being constant urine, right? All of these things play a key role in what we need to learn overall in terms of fasting and detoxing, right? One of the main reasons you need to stay hydrated is your blood volume. Your blood volume plays a key role in the electrical activity of your heart, right? Think about what we've been talking about the first half of the course, right? One of the primary things we've been talking about the first half of the course is that your mitochondria produces water. So your cells, as long as they can break down carbohydrates and fats, are going to be producing their own water. They're going to be producing their own water, right? And that's what they prefer. That's what you prefer. That's the most purest water on earth, is the water your cells produce. So your cells taking care of themselves. The water you're drinking is primarily for the fascia, which is the connective tissue, blood volume, lymphatic movement, things like that. That's what we have to understand. So when we go on certain types of fasts, right? Okay, cool. Say for instance with the water fasting, because I'm getting a lot of attention about water fast. You go on a water fast, right? You limit your body's ability of breaking down sugars and fats, even though you're thinking that you're losing, X amount of pounds, blah, 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 blah. What you're losing during water fast is primarily water. That's the only thing you're moving around, is your water. You're not really changing fat, body fat percentage. You're not really changing body muscle percentage. And you're definitely not changing bone density. So you can forget about that, right? What you're doing is moving around water. The same thing a boxer does primarily when he's trying to make weight, right? The reason why you're not really doing anything carbohydrate or fatty acid wise is because in a water fast, you're not eating. So where are you getting B vitamins from? Remember, B vitamins are water soluble, right? So first things first, an average person flushes out their water soluble vitamins every day. They're water soluble vitamins. That's why you have to put back water soluble vitamins more often than fat soluble vitamins. Fat soluble vitamins get stored in the cells, the tissues, anywhere there's fat. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K will kind of hang around because they stay in the fat. And as you metabolize fats, you release those fat soluble vitamins like in a time schedule kind of way. Water soluble vitamins, you get rid of them as you metabolize water. But we metabolize in water all day, right? So the average person, you got to replace water-soluble vitamins once or twice a day. Fat-soluble vitamins, you can store those for a week, 2 weeks, a month, depending on what you put in, right? Water-soluble, every day, sometimes twice a day. Now, if you go on a water fast, you hurt yourself in 2 ways. A, you stop consuming B vitamins, right? And the B vitamins are responsible for breaking down carbohydrates and fats. So a lot of people are doing water fast because they want to lose weight. They don't realize the stuff that you eat is what allows you to lose weight, right? You need to pay to play. You need the B vitamins, B1, 2, and 3. If you don't have B1, B2, and B3, you can forget about fats and all that, or you can forget about metabolism. That's going to slow down, grind into a halt, right? You might have some left over for a day, but once you get into an extended water fast, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, forget about it. The second part of that is you're only drinking water. So now, guess what? You're flushing out your water-soluble vitamins 10 times as fast because you're drinking way more water. You're going to the bathroom way more times, right? So it's not even like you could live off the water-soluble vitamins you had from the days before because you done went to 2-3 gallons of water a day. So now you're running through, right? And the biggest place of impact is the poop. The biggest place of impact is the poop, right? Depending on how an animal is designed to eat, which is largely how an animal is designed to process water. This is important. This class is going to be one of them ones, right? Because the stuff we're going to discuss today, we probably won't discuss again. It's just going to live in this class, right? How your digestive system is designed is around how your species is designed to metabolize water. That's what the digestive system is built around. Water, right? So when you look at a carnivore, right, and they have a much shorter, faster processing and turnaround time. They have a shorter digestive system, faster processing time. Water immediately goes into their system, right? So if you have a dog, or if you ever had a dog, you can feed the dog and your dog can lay down on that food, right? Without like pooping in the house. Your dog can lay down on the food. The moment you give that dog a bowl of water, you're on the clock. Because that water is going to run right through your dog. And there's no amount of training that can stop that. The most disciplined dog on earth is going to pee or poop in the house if you don't take them out immediately, because their digestive system is so short. And their diet is not based around plant fiber, right? Your diet is based around plant fiber. Your diet is based around plant fiber. So you have to have the fiber in order to hydrate. You have to have the fiber in order to hydrate. And your system is a longer digestive system because it takes a longer time to hydrate properly. It takes a longer time for you to hydrate properly. Hydration is the basis of your body, right? So you have to have the time that it takes for the digestive system to process the water and the fiber and begin to create the gels, begin to incorporate the microbiome. That means the microbiome, after you digest the food, the microbiome has to redigest the food, right? And they have to start producing their secondary and tertiary metabolites. Those things all have to be incorporated. Those things are all a part of water. When we start having the CMOS classes, right? And I start explaining to people that 99% of the people selling you CMOS don't know anything about CMOS, especially CMOS or nutrition through CMOS. The biggest gap is understanding the gel. Everybody likes the gel because the gel is amazing, right? Everybody likes the gel because the gel is amazing, but people don't get gel or gelification in biochemistry. Gels are vehicles. Gels in and of themselves are not a thing, right? So just making a CMOS gel, oh, I know how to make CMOS gel. Look, ooh. All right, well, what's in that? What is that carrying into my cells? What is that carrying into my tissues? Because that's what the whole purpose of gel is for. Gel is to magnify bioavailability, magnify transport, right? That's why that's why you don't have, like, you can't eat a rock or bite steel, right? But these very same rocks and metals and things, plants can absorb through their roots and turn them into nutrients, right? So if we was to eat pure iron, it's toxic. But if we get iron from a plant, it's nutritive, right? We build our blood around it. We build our mitochondria around it, right? It's because the plant fibers gel. Plant fibers gel, right? Pigments add nutrients to the gel, right? So all of these things, when you break them down, these components come together. That's hydration, right? That's hydration. The combination of the fiber, the nutrients, and the water together, right? Now, John Q. Public, because we have broken this natural cycle, right? John Q. Public is walking around constipated. John Q. Public is walking around with 15, 20 pounds of poop in their digestive system, right? John Q. Public is walking around with a bunch of poop in their digestive system. And that begins to break down the microbiome from the inside out, as well as seal in bacteria into the crevices of the colon and the lower intestine and create pockets of biofilms, right? Pockets of biofilms that are, they basically just serve as like a black hole for glutathione and melatonin. Glutathione and melatonin are floating around all through your body as like liquid antioxidants everywhere, right? Kind of like you got to keep, bleach or chlorine inside your pool. If you don't have the chlorine in your pool, after a couple days, you'll start seeing the algae build up in there. Your pool will turn green, then brown, then black, right? You put the chlorine back in it, it goes black, then brown, then green. Then it's, like that blue-green, that ocean color, and then it turns, crystal blue, right? It's the same thing going on inside your body. Only thing is, you can think of the glutathione and the melatonin as the chlorine for the pool. When you build up these toxic loads in your digestive system from constipation, you eating 2, 3, 4, 5 meals a day, but you only pooping once a day, or some days you don't poop at all. You pooping 4 or 5 times a week, but you're eating 4 or 5 times a day. Where do you think all that stuff is going? Where do you think all that stuff is going? All that stuff is in your colon. That's why a lot of the bodybuilders, they had what is it? Distended bowels, or I forgot what that thing is called. But you can look at Phil Heath and a lot of these guys. They have a problem where their stomach gets real big. It's muscly, so you can see the 6-pack, but it's like sticking out. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's muscly, it's sticking out. That is not okay. That's not okay. And there's a difference between bloating and constipation. There's a difference between bloating and just having some gas and bad reaction and maybe even some low key, like some edema, some water building, some fluid building up, than having, 15, 20, some of these guys, 25 pounds, 30 pounds of poop. Where your intestines walking, your joint swollen all the time because it's just filled with poop. And then people go on these fasts, and the fast dehydrates you. The fast dehydrates you. Yes, you're getting some poop out, but it dehydrates you. So it weakens the already very thin tissues, and post-fast, you now have more toxins, more bacteria bleeding in to the bloodstream from all this compacted poop, right? When you take in Senna, right? SENNA, when you take in Senna will kickstart the peristaltic wave and force you to have a poop. So when you take the ballerina teas or whatever, or these guys selling detoxes on their website or whatever, you'll get a poop. But it's not gel and water built, right? You know if it's gel driven, because if it's gel driven, you're not gonna feel like you dying on the toilet, right? You feel like you dying on the toilet. How many times you done felt like you was dying on the toilet, and you thinking you letting out like a monstrous poop, and then you look in the toilet and you see it's a little tiny poop in there. You're like, yo, what like, how did that? It's because you're dehydrated. That little tiny poop felt like you was moving a basketball out your backside because your colon and your digestive system is dry. It can't maintain hydration if there's no gel. The gel is what locks hydration in, right? Even when we talk about transepidermal water loss, right? Even when we get back to that conversation at some point, it's gel locking hydration into the body. Right? Go to the website, AmericanHealer.website right now and get your blue magic. Matter of fact, let me give you a reminder. Go get your blue magic.
The problem with Boosie.
Boozy.
Yeah, Boosie.
This man got a cancer, but he frying pancakes in olive oil. Homie.
Okay.
You tell me something ain't wrong with that, brother. You tell me something ain't wrong with that. When Boozy at home, laying comfortably, making bologna sandwiches for his 20 kids. This man got diabetes, homie.
Okay.
But he frying funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes. You know, you maybe get some avocado oil. That's a little bit more healthy for you.
Homie. He the one with the diabetes. Come on, eat.
Yeah, you gotta shoot up all the time. Mm-hmm.
So when you do things that makes that constipation worse long time, you're slowly taking time off your life. And you don't know it because you think you're fasting, you think you're detoxing, you're cleansing. I'm about to go on this. I'm about to go on this quick little 2-day. I'm about to go on this 3-day. I'm about to. And what you're actually doing is making the problems that you have way worse. You're making the problems that you have way worse. Right? So that's why we're trying to get this message across while we're talking about hydration, right? While we're talking about hydration, we want to communicate this. We want to get this across. If you're taking these crazy poop-driven detoxes, first of all, even with the poop, they do not clean your colon. Even with the poop, they do not clean your colon. They only move poop out of the center of the compacted poop. So the poop that's in the crevices of your colon does not get cleaned. Does not get cleaned. That's why you have to have bulk. Not bulk in terms of feces, but bulk in terms of brush. Brush is the word that they use for like seaweed and bushes and things like that. You have to have brush, right? It expands out the digestive system and breaks down all of the compacted poop and cleans it out, brings it out of the body, and then it allows the body to clean itself by removing biofilms, by removing toxins that build up in those biofilm pockets and spaces, right? So we have to get this photosynthesis thing back to the top of the food chain, right? There's no such thing as long-term keto. Keto is constipation. Constipation is death. Long-term carnivore diet, constipation is death. Nobody on a keto diet or a paleo carnivore diet consumes enough greens, enough roughage, enough plants, right? You having 6 chicken breasts and you got a side of salad. That's not it. That's not it. And let me say this also. Powder is not it. Powders are not it. Powders will fail you. You could get the most healthiest, nutritious green powder on earth. It is not the same, right? The powder can only provide you with the nutrients from the plant. So yes, I'm a green powder person. I put green powder in my smoothie. I drink green powders and chlorella and all. I'm into green powders. But I'm not blinded to believe that powder can do the same job as plant fibers, no matter what I'm told. You're removing the digestive process. You're removing the digestive process. Think of powders as pre-digested. So powders being pre-digested is an amazing way. It's an amazing cheat code for you to get nutrients in, right? Capsule herbs, add it to your smoothie, put it in your tea, whatever the case may be. That is for nutrients. For fiber, you actually need to eat the plants. You actually need the salad. You actually need the greens. You actually need to eat you some carrots or some whatever, right? Even some roots, right? If you're gonna knock off some sweet potatoes, some yams, some beets, whatever. But you actually have to consume the actual item, not the replacement, right? So powders are great, because also you can condense. Right? You can condense. You can take a scoop of powder and get, half a garbage bag worth of nutrients in a scoop of powder. That's amazing. That's not going to work out the same way with the fiber, though. Not in terms of cleaning your digestive system. You know what I'm saying? We need you to get this part down pat. Because there's too many people spending too much money on things that aren't working the way it's designed to work. A detox should target the cells, right? The NRF2 system, liver function, It's hard to target kidney function, right? You have to target kidney function through other systems. So I know there's people out there that be saying they got the kidney cleanse and all this kind of stuff. That's you wasting your money. They're just beating you, right? You have to target the kidney through other means. You have to target the kidney through hormones and neurotransmitters. That's how you target the kidney. Hormones and neurotransmitters. One of the things we talk about in the Mayim book, the water book, and the protein book, which we'll be going into a lot more, a lot heavier in our next course, right? Is protein turnover, right? How important that is, right? Protein turnover in terms of building new cells, right? Because building new cells means building new tissues, right? So yeah, you have organs and glands like the kidney that you can't directly impact, right? The liver, you can directly impact. The heart, you can directly impact with certain nutrients, right? But the kidney, you can forget about it. The lungs, you can clean the lungs. But in terms of regeneration and detoxification, there's a difference, and even detoxing and cleansing is a little different, right? Because you can help your lungs to get rid of loose toxins, right? But that's not exactly the same as removing tar, right? Tar takes a little bit more work. Tar takes a concerted effort. So yes, herbs and nutrients will help with tar, but tar also creates instant damage. Instant damage that has to be worked through with cellular replacing. That's why they say when you quit smoking cigarettes, it takes you 7 years, to get back to where a non-smoker's lung health will be. Well, the reason for that is because that's how long it takes you to replace all of the cells in your lungs. Yeah. Well, whatever the number is, it might be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever that number is, it's just how long it takes you to replace your lungs. Right. So from the day you stop smoking, every day you're rebuilding tissues. Right. So from the day you stop smoking, you're not rebuilding toxins. Right. Because a lot of us forget we are poisoning ourselves every day. Right. So every day, the toxin level stays, there's a balance between how fast you put the toxins in and how fast you turn over new cells. Well, when you stop the toxins, now it's just about cellular turnover, right? And in that space, now diet is more impactful, right? But also triggering neurotransmitters and hormones that control how the lungs are rebuilt and the pace at which they're rebuilt is going to have a larger impact. You know what I'm saying? But it starts here. It starts here with this symbiotic relationship we have with plants, and that is excretion. That is what we breathe out, right? What we expire or respire, right? What we sweat out, what we urinate out, and how we poop, right? So all of those things impact the cycle, or at least are supposed to. They're designed that way, right? So your turnaround is based on what you're consuming. And once you move outside of the photosynthesis, once you walk away from carbohydrates, you automatically alter your microbiome and your peristaltic wave, right? And the peristaltic wave is important because not only is two things going to happen. You're going to start pushing toxins into the bloodstream, but then you're also going to destroy the smooth muscle tissue of the arteries, right? the aorta is targeted, is target number one, right? Because the peristaltic wave, which is the electromagnetic wave, the contracting and relaxing of the smooth muscle tissue, is impacted first, right? So once that gets impacted from your constipation, because you full of shit, right? Now your body is producing a lot less nitric oxide, right? Because it's the contracting and relaxing in the arteries that produces the nitric oxide. So now the nitric oxide level drops as more toxins are coming into the blood, right? Now you run a much higher risk of slow capillaries, right? So for women, you know, your ability to orgasm. For men, your ability to have a heart on. You know, those are early warning symbols, right? Those are early warning symbols that you're putting more pressure on your heart, right? You keep going, the capillaries at the extremities, right? So you start get tingling in the feet, you know, your feet may even be turning colors and things like that. Now something has to get cut off, right? All of those things in some instances can be traced back to poop, right? So when we're choosing detox, right, we need to understand that detox is around building the armor, the weaponry, right? The guns, the bullets, the vest of your body's cells. Detox is not about pooping, right? Detox is not about pooping. If you want to have bowel movements, you need to eat carbohydrates, right? You need to eat carbohydrates and you need to drink water. That is it, right? If you're in a super tough spot, right? You want to add in some more bitters, right? Maybe you're not getting any bitters in. If you're not getting any bitters in, then that may be another piece that you're missing, right? Because alkaloids is a fundamental part of photosynthesis. It is a fundamental part of human nutrition, right? This is the other part of the timeline that we go through. There are parts of the timeline that, you know, there's so many different significant things that you can extrapolate from the timeline in the Black's Anatomy books, right? One of them is the fact that we discover nutrition as we go along. So what's happening is, what you have to know is that at each stage of life, when we go back through history, those people thought they knew everything about nutrition, right? At each stage of life, so people in the early 1800s, they thought they knew everything that there was to know about food, especially like farmers and doctors. They thought they knew everything there was to know about food. And then 100 years later, they discover B1. And then that takes them down this whole road where they start discovering cures for diseases inside food. Now, the crazy thing is, if you fast forward till today, now you got people walking around saying that food can't cure diseases. Like, you do know that cures, like the whole concept of cure started with food. That's how we discovered, you know, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D. Vitamin D is the cure for rickets and osteoporosis, you know, pellagra, scurvy. All these things were diseases that we discovered the cure of in the photosynthesis, right? In the plant's ability to produce these, whatever these are, these molecules, right? Now, vitamin D, a little bit different because, you know, we create the vitamin D in our body, right? So we're direct. There's no middleman, right? But I'm saying all that to say, there are still nutrients left to be discovered. There are still nutrients left to be discovered. And then there are nutrients that we already know about in the holistic space, in the naturopathic space, that science just hasn't went ahead and said, okay, well, this is a daily required nutrient, right? But that's why we have the book, Beer and Bitters, right? We literally did a book called Beer and Bitters. Is that you over there? No. But we literally did a book called Beer and Bitters. We literally did a book called Beer and Bitters for this purpose, so that we could review the historical aspect of beer and bitters, which is built around alkaloids, right? Alkaloids are the plant molecules that are the bitter, right? But that's the largest class of medicinal therapeutic molecules in plants. There's a whole bunch of stuff in plants, but typically it's going to be pigments, and then you have alkaloids, right? And the alkaloids come with the bitter taste for the most part. And so when we start to review the historic uses of bitters, right? And then we get to today's cutting edge scientific journals. Well, where one time we thought there was only bitter receptors in the tongue, now we know there's bitter receptors all throughout the whole body. All throughout the whole body, even the heart. Even the heart. So bitters is something that you're supposed to have on a day-to-day basis, right? So what should you do right now? Stop this video, go to AmericanHealer.website and order your bitters, right? Go over there right now and get your bitters.
The problem with Boosie.
Boosie?
Yeah, Boosie.
This man got a cancer, but he frying pancakes in olive oil, homie.
Okay.
You tell me something ain't wrong with that, brother. You tell me something ain't wrong with that. When Boosie at home, laying comfortably, making bologna sandwiches for his 20 kids. This man got diabetes, homie.
Okay.
But he frying funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes. You know, you maybe get some avocado oil. That's a little bit more healthy for
Come
you.
on, homie. He the one with the diabetes. Come on, eat.
Yeah, you gotta shoot up all the time. Mm-hmm.
Right? So all of these processes are driven by water. Energy production driven by water, right? So I just had to make sure we put that on the you know, and when we talk about the thirst signal, right? When you ignore your body's thirst signal long enough, it does go away. When your body sends you the thirst signal and you don't, you respond with a sugary drink or something like that, all of those things cause your thirst signal to go away and remanifest as hunger signals. As hunger signals. And the reason why is because there is water in natural carbohydrates. But you have to understand what the signal is for, why the signal exists, right? And not to get your wires crossed, right? Because a lot of us are walking around dealing with a trap of leptin and estrogen. And leptin and estrogen will confuse you, and you'd be 500 pounds, 600 pounds, 700 pounds, following the guidance of leptin and estrogen. You know, your bones would be, you know, your parathyroid glands would be, you know, your parathyroid will be destroying the thyroid from the inside out. Right. And so you're wondering, you know, a lot of people that have problems with their thyroid, right? They don't even think about parathyroid activity, right? They automatically go, okay, well, maybe it's this and that. No, maybe you have a bone problem. Maybe you're not taking care of your bone marrow. So your parathyroid glands are being overused. So you're building up inflammation there. That inflammation spilling over into the thyroid. That inflammation spilling over into the thyroid. So now the selenium that your thyroid would use to produce T3, T4 is being sequestered for something else, right? So those are separate glands. Just in case you don't know, let's just in case, let's pull those up for the family real quick. Just in case. Let's look this up because I think some people might believe that this is the same thing. All right, some people might believe this is the same thing. Right, but it's not. Okay. Parathyroid glands, right? Behind the thyroid gland. Behind the thyroid gland, this is what's going to control your body's pH and bone mineralization, right? Parathyroid hormone stimulates the release of calcium from bones, increases calcium absorption in the intestines, and promotes the activation of vitamin D, which is necessary for calcium absorption. Okay? So when you have the parathyroid hormone going up, that weakens the bones. That releases calcium from the bones into the blood. Now, when you get calcium going into the blood, what do you get? Hardened arteries, right? You get your body uses up the vitamin K faster, right? You have higher risk of blood clots, right? You have lower red blood cell production, right? Because calcium in bone is a part of your bone marrow's ability to produce red blood cells, white blood cells, B cells, immunoglobulins, all that. So as you pulling the minerals out of the bone, you losing all that, right? You losing stuff, right? So this is how it triggers vitamin D, because when your body senses high levels of parathyroid hormone, your body wants to go into producing more vitamin D. The vitamin D is the opposite of the parathyroid hormone. The vitamin D, along with vitamin K, is going to start pushing that calcium back into the bones. Right? So it makes the blood vessels, right, the arteries, like the aorta, more flexible. More flexible, it restores the peristaltic wave. Restoring the peristaltic wave restores the nitric oxide production. You restore the nitric oxide, the peristaltic wave, you can get you some natural bowel movements. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed how we did that. We walked all the way from the bowel, all the way through the body, and then walked backwards back to vessel elasticity, peristaltic wave production, contraction, relaxation, all those good things, back to you getting a nice smooth poop in the bathroom. Now, also, another thing to keep in mind, how easy is it for you to sit down on the toilet and get off the toilet? Again, how easy is it for you to sit down on the toilet and get off the toilet? Now, some people, you're under 25, under 30 watching this video, this part don't apply to you yet. Just know for the future. 31, 35, 37, 41, 46, 52, 59, 6. You know what I'm talking about, right? You sitting down on the toilet and then you need help to get off the toilet. That's the first stage. The first stage is when you need help getting off the toilet. Pretty soon, you need help sitting down on the toilet, because when you go to sit down on the toilet, you start like moving to go to the toilet bowl, but there's a point where your knees and your legs can't support your weight, so you plop down hard on the toilet. Everybody in the house can hear you sit down on the toilet. Boom. Because you plopping down. You don't have the ability muscle-wise of your legs to be able to lower your butt down onto the toilet, right? Then, so that right there also is going to contribute to you being able to poop. Those leg muscles, right? Particularly the glutes, right? The lower back, the glutes would tell you. So your butt muscles is important, because they will also tell you your butt muscles you could grab and squeeze, right? You could grab them, you could squeeze. They're like, Inky, are you grabbing your butt cheeks on the live stream? Yeah, I'm grabbing my butt right here on the live stream. Yeah, because you can grab your butt. You can grab your butt, and then you can go in the mirror and check it out. You could take a picture of your butt cheeks. You know what I'm saying? And look at your butt cheeks, right? Looking at your butt cheeks give you an idea of how muscular your butt cheeks are, right? And that also gives you a window to what's going on inside the hips, right? Inside that pelvic floor, right? All of those pelvic floor muscles and hip muscles and all of those things. All of those muscles must be intact for you to sit down on the toilet and get off the toilet. And then for you to do your business while you're sitting down on the toilet, right? All of those muscles are key muscles in having a bowel movement, in moving poop through the system, right? So yes, like I say all the time, it's good for us to go into the science, but we need to be able to have real-time understanding and then be able to look at stuff that's going on with us, so we know, hey, maybe it's time for me to go to the doctor, get a checkup real quick, right? Maybe it's time for me to go back to Inky's website, AmericanHealing.com website. Maybe it's time for me to go back to the website and get me some more stuff, right?
The problem with Boosie.
Boosie?
Yeah, Boosie.
This man got a cancer, but he frying pancakes in olive oil.
Okay.
You tell me something ain't wrong with that, brother. You tell me something ain't wrong with that. When Boosie at home, laying comfortably, making bologna sandwiches for his 20 kids. This man got diabetes, homie.
Okay.
But he frying funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes. You you maybe get some avocado oil. That's a little bit more healthy for you.
Come on, homie. He the one with the diabetes. Come on,
Yeah, you gotta shoot up all the time.
Inspiration. See, I view everything as inspiration. I look at everything as inspiration.
Right? So we just got to remember that there's a lot more connected to these neurotransmitters and neurohormones and the neurochemistry, right? So when we get into a conversation and we mention melanin concentrating hormone, right? MCH, right? Yes, it impacts melanin, right? But it's much more than that, right? It drives hunger, right? Through ghrelin. It drives growth hormone production, right? So now we got muscle development, muscle activity, right? We got energy metabolism, right? We got resource management, right? Also, thirst, because this is a primary driver in terms of your digestive system activity. A primary driver. So when we go into I don't know, where's Rich Abs, Poor Abs? Where's the Rich Abs, Poor Abs book? Man, where's the Rich Abs, Poor Abs book? I don't know where that book is. I think Chloe might have it in her book bag. But when we go into the Rich Abs, Poor Abs book, and we start breaking down the different alphabets, right? When we go through the alphabets, oh, wait a minute. I think Kylie and Aubrey's book. Yeah, Kylie and Aubrey's book does a good job of that. Let me see if I can find that book. Where is that book?
Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Good. Good thing I have my grocery shopping list. Don't leave home without it.
My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin vs. Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own. I think it's some more. I had some more books on my bed because I was reading them last night.
Okay, what's that?
Oh, my bad. Yo, this is just, look at this. This pile of books is just what's on my bed. Yeah, that's just current reading. What I'm going through, like that's just current reading right there. Yo. I agree. We should definitely have more likes for this live. People is missing it, but guess what? That's why they all full of shit. But right? The number one subject matter of. I knew I had some more books on my bed. See, you trolling. I knew I had some more. Which one? Which one of these books? Is it this one right here? Yes, I knew it. Okay, bam. Bam, bam, bam. All right. If you do not have this book, go get this book. Go to Amazon right now and get this book. All right. If you don't have this book, go get this book. Add this to your cart right now and check out. Rich Abs, Weighing of the Heart Ceremony, Initiation Ritual Monitor. Right? If you don't have this book, go get this book. Right? Now, we're going to go to a section, right? We're going to go to page 53. Blue Magic Kitchen Class, right? This scene is following the Cosmic Initiation Q&A, right? So it's set in the house, right? And so the camera goes through the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. And so Rich is in there. He's talking with the children. And so the conversation goes to the ABCs of the gut. The ABCs of the gut, right? The ABCs of the gut, right? The ABCs of the gut are the L cells, the D cells, the K cells, the I cells, the G cells, the X and A cells, the N cells, the P cells, and the S cells, right? That's why we call them the ABCs of the gut, right? Because first of all, nobody discusses these cells. Oh man, I don't always do that. I be having like ghost whiteboard syndrome. You know what I'm saying? I got ghost whiteboard syndrome. But y'all remember what we had up here, right? Photosynthesis, the carbon, the water, pigment, fiber, blah, blah, blah. And then we had the poop and the soil, and we had a little cycle, right? Well, a part of the carbohydrates, a part of natural plants as nutrition, right? A part of natural plants as nutrition. And it looks like, now earlier y'all missed it. I was on the live stream squeezing my butt. But now we just got a needle in the butt, right? So Saint HJ has given us the PEDs, right? He's given us the PEDs. We had about 60 people in the live stream, right? We had about 60 people in the live stream, and then Saint HJ gave us the PEDs, and now we are currently at 491 people and going up still. It's still going up. Now we have 490 some people. So please follow me on Twitter, right? Because I think that's where most of these people come from. X.com, Twitter, right? Follow me on Twitter, right? Help me to like bodybuilders, like help me to build up my body so I don't need as much PEDs. we got a super chat. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, man. That is what I'm talking about. And we got the super chat. Very informative. Thank you so much, Minister, for what you do for us. Nah. This is what I do with us. I ain't doing this for us. I'm doing this with us. We doing this together. Teamwork, CMB, we all we got. You know, Sugar Hill, you know, CMB, we all we got. So we doing this together. But I appreciate the sentiment, definitely. I definitely appreciate the sentiment. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, get this book if you don't have it. Understanding the ABCs of the gut, and that's our own terminology, right? But understanding the ABCs of the gut is very important, because when I'm talking about constipation, when I'm talking about poop, when I'm talking about going on keto or paleo or carnivore and not getting a high amount of plants in your diet, this entire group of cells is basically like blowing in the wind. And all of these cells, we're going to go through them. All of these cells have highly specific jobs. Highly specific jobs. But again, remember I told you, going back to the Radio Rico, right? Payola. Your body works on pay to play. Everything is pay to play. So each one of these cells we're going to go through, there's a specific type of payola you have to give to this group of cells in order for them to come alive and give your body what it needs, right? So you have to put the payola, and then you get the spins, right? Spins, pun intended, because that's, you know, cells spin cycle. So you got the L cells, right? L cells important because L cells is the group of cells that's primarily responsible for your GLP, right? So your GLP agonists and your PYY agonists, right? Those are from stimulation of L cells, right? The GLP-1 agonist tells your body that you had like enough carbohydrates and fats. The PYY stimulation tells your body that you had enough proteins, right? So both of those are more detailed inventory specific signals than what we think of leptin. Like, oh, leptin tells your body it's full. No, leptin fools your body, right? These give you a little bit more specifics. Like, okay, this go up. That means we good on the carb. We good on the, we good on the energy side. GLP-1 agonists is we good on the energy, stored energy side. Energy, stored energy, glycogen depletion, all that. That's going to fall under GLP action. PYY, proteins, amino acids, essential amino acids, and then it's going to bleed. It's going to bleed over into the energy side, because remember, breaking down carbs and fats not only produces water, but that's how your body produces non-essential amino acids, right? So that's where they bleed over. So that's L cells. Then you got D cells. D cells secrete somatostatin, right? This inhibits excessive acid, balances the gut and the brain, right? So now you have nerve activity, right? And then somatostatin, right, we know is linked with ghrelin and growth hormone, right? Linked with ghrelin and growth hormone, right? So now we got hunger and muscle development, right? We have nutrient, intake, and then we have nutrient utilization, right? Then we have K cells. K cells produce gastric inhibitory polypeptide. What does that do? Gastric inhibitory polypeptide. This enhances insulin release, right? This enhances insulin release. So it naturally boosts up your body's ability to produce insulin. So, you know, like when you go to the doctor and the doctor find out that you're insulin resistant, right? They put you on the metformin, or they might put you on the insulin, depending on how bad it is. Then over time, your body becomes more insulin resistant. So what do? They boost up the level of the insulin you take, right? And you boost up the level of insulin you take, and you should be cool. Well, your body already has a natural system of doing that, right? It's called the K cells. K cells are your body's natural way of bumping up insulin production, right? And guess what primarily drives them through the roof, right? That your green and red pigments, chlorophylls, and all of your red pigments. And this can be red apples, right? Red apples are particularly good, but the best stimulators are algae, right? Green algae, and red algae, right? Green algae, red algae, purple algae, right? This is why we have a blend of algae in the Blue Magic. Come on now, let's give it up for the Blue Magic one more time. We gotta give it up for the Blue Magic.
The problem with Boosie.
Boosie?
Yeah, Boosie.
This man got a cancer, but he frying pancakes in olive oil. Homie.
Okay.
You tell me something ain't wrong with that, brother. You tell me something ain't wrong with that. When Boosie at home, laying comfortably, making bologna sandwiches for his 20 kids. This man got diabetes, homie.
Okay.
But he frying funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes. You know, you maybe get some avocado oil. That's a little bit more healthy for you.
Come on, homie. He the one with the diabetes. Come on,
Yeah, you gotta shoot up all the time.
Inspiration. See, I view everything as inspiration. I look at everything as inspiration.
So we got the K cells. Then we have the I cells, right? I cells release cholecytokinin, which triggers bile release, right? Bile release is for satiety. It's for fat digestion, right? And the crazy thing is, bile is a part of the pigment system. So when we talk about the pigment system, sometimes we leave it out. Sometimes I leave it out, you know what I'm saying? But people leave bile out of the pigment system, right? Bile is not necessarily a part of the melanin family, right? It's not a part of melanocortin receptors. It's not necessarily a part of, POMC, pro-opiomelanocortins, or melanin concentrating hormone, melanin. It's not a part of those things, but bile is a part of your heme. It's the most important part of your heme cycle, because it's how your body continues to produce the pigments for your blood, and then allow your mitochondria to have the tools it needs to continuously build, right? And then also our muscles. Your muscles important, right? Your muscles have myoglobin, right? So remember, if you don't have this book, go to Amazon, put this in your cart now. Rich Abs, Way into the Heart Ceremony, Initiation Ritual Manga, right? Then you have your G cells. Oh, wait, I forgot. Dulse and nori, right? Dulse and nori, two specific algae that supercharge the I cells. Again, this is why the Blue Magic is critical. G cells, right? G cells secrete gastrin. Gastrin promotes gastric acid, right? Gastric acid is crucial. Again, not just for digestion, right? But all of the activity in the digestive system. All of the activity in the digestive system and the link between the digestive system and the circulatory system. And again, we can go back to the polysaccharides in the Chondrus crispus and some of the other algae, right? Then we have ghrelin cells or X cells and A cells, right? Polysaccharides help to quiet them down, so to speak. We have enteroendocrine N cells, right? The N cells release something called neurotensin. Neurotensin. There's a drug. They sell it in supermarkets, right? And it is expensive. It is, I think they want like $80 a bottle or something crazy for this. It's a fat loss product, right? And basically what it does is when you eat, it blocks your body from absorbing fat, right? It blocks your body from absorbing fat. I think those things are dangerous because remember, your body needs a lot of healthy fats. Your body needs fat, right? It's just the type and the amount that where it becomes dangerous, but your body needs fat. So you start blocking fat, it can get crazy real quick, right? But your body has a natural system. When you're digesting foods, your body has a system to sort everything, filter everything. Oh, we need some of this. Oh, we don't need that. We need some of this. We don't need that. Let this go down the drain. The poop, this can go. Your body has a way of sorting. When we get away from the photosynthesis, we ineffectually shut down the body's plant, right? By moving away from the plants, we shut down the plant, pun intended, right? So neurotensin is basically these N cells secrete neurotensin to basically filter, right? To determine how much fat metabolism we need, right? How much fat we need to break down, how much fat we need to bring into the system, right? So that's super important. And that's something that chlorella is good at, right? That's something that chlorella is extremely good at, stimulating those N cells. P cells. P cells secrete pancreatic polypeptide. Pancreatic polypeptide regulates the exocrine function of the pancreas, right? Meaning these cells regulate how the pancreas produces the alkaline juices, right? The alkaline liquids full of enzymes that make sure that what you eat is not poisonous, right? So when you eat something and go into your stomach, that's pretty much acidy. Once it leaves your stomach, your pancreas has to now alkalize all the stuff that was in your stomach. Your pancreas has to alkalize it. So 90% of your pancreas is dedicated to this exocrine function of helping you to metabolize food coming through the digestive system, right? But that depends on these particular cells to be able to do their job. And their job is dependent on you eating the plants, you feeding the microbiome for the pancreas to properly function, right? Remember, it's communication, it's signals, right? S cells. S cells secrete secretin, right? Secretin stimulates Baking soda. Baking soda. Baking soda. We got baking soda. Bicarbonates, right? So secretin stimulates bicarbonate release. So bicarbonate is another thing that your body produces to neutralize acid, right? To neutralize acid, right? So again, if our P cells and our S cells are functioning, we shouldn't have certain types of issues, right? That's on the ground floor. You know how in a business problems go up, right? Like if employees don't handle it, supervisor, manager, boom, 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 boom. Same thing goes on in the body, right? So if you have acid building up in the digestive system, right? You have, for instance, we just gave you the S cells and the P cells. The P cells stimulate alkalizing agents. The S cells stimulate bicarbonate, right? So that should take care of the problem right there. If the problem's not taken care of right there and some stuff translate to the blood, the circulatory system, now you're going to have signals or even over signaling for the parathyroid gland to start to release parathyroid hormone. And then that's how the calcium comes out of the bone into the circulation now to do what you should have been taken care of already. But you didn't take care of it because you didn't have any greens, right? And let me make it, let me show y'all. Because when y'all see my shopping cart, y'all better look closely at my shopping cart.
Oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
That's the part I want y'all to see right there. When it zoom into my shopping cart and you see the organic greens on clearance. Yeah, just let me zoom you back in there again. You gotta pimp the sales. This how I live. I just pull these out my refrigerator. Now look at this one. This is the super organic 80 acres farms. Look at that. $1.80. $1.80. Then I got the Organic Girl Baby Spring Mix joint, $1.80. Right? I got 5 children. Look at the comment section. Only one person sent a super chat in, so I can't afford. I mean, how much groceries? so I gotta live on the clearance section. We ain't. Hey, but what I'm trying to show you with maximum transparency is that it's still possible. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they say, oh, well, this is that, it's expensive and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's because you ain't out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why people stop being thrifty when it comes to their food. And when I say thrifty, I don't mean finding a good deal. I just mean willing to look, willing to shop. You know what I'm saying? People go shopping for clothes, they shop. They go shopping for sneakers, they shop around. Oh, I seen the Jordans. They was $175 over here. I found this site over here. Yeah, they got them for $140. Yo, I ain't getting no Jordans offline. I got to get mine from in the store so I can see what I'm getting. Ooh, like people shop around. When it comes to the food, nobody wants to shop around. Yeah, put these back in the actually, put that top one right there. Yeah, put that top one on my bed for me. I'm gonna grab that right there. But put the other one back in the fridge. Yeah, you got to shop around, and then you got to figure out what the rhythm is in your supermarket. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to the worst supermarket to get the best greens. That's how you do it. Yeah, you got to go to the worst supermarket to get the best greens. When you go to the hood supermarket, they're gonna have some greens in there. They're gonna have some organics and all that. And guess what? Nobody in that neighborhood is gonna be buying them. So you just got to figure out. You just got to figure out what day them joints goes on sale. Yeah, and go on that day. Wait till they can't sell them because ain't nobody selling them. No, nobody know what that is. They walking right past all that produce and looking for chicken breasts and fried chicken and beyond whatever. Them greens gonna be right there. You just gotta wait it out. Oh, okay, on Thursdays. Okay, cool. So you start making the time now. You strolls right up in there. Yeah, I'll be right there standing next to the supermarket employee sometime. They be like, "Oh, you came with your wagon, huh?" Yeah, I comes right with the wagon. Whoop. And I'll be right there next to them. As they putting the clearance tag on the greens, I'm like, no. You might as well put all those in my wagon. You want all of them? Yeah, I want all of the ones that's going on clearance. You put them all in my wagon right there. Yeah. Yeah, put all them joints in my wagon right there. That's yeah, we load up. You know what I'm saying? Then we have them. And sometimes we run out. All right, cool. We ran out. We gotta wait till next week, wait till they go back on. That's how it go. Yeah, that's how it go. But we gotta, we gotta make it simple for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And yes, there's people who got time to grow their own and do the seed thing and blah blah blah. There's some farmers out here and all that. But again, 5 children, 100 books in the last 2 years. My time is pretty. Yeah. My time is not, So it's easy for me to go hit the grocery and get the items on sale. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for me to go get the items on sale, right? But this is how your digestive system works, right? It's payola. You put the nutrients in, you get the action out, right? If you're going on these fasts and you're going on extended time periods where you're not getting in specific nutrients, that just means you're not getting activity from these cells. So most times when we go on blind fast or we get cheap, low quality detoxes, we're not going to get the results that we want. Even if the result that we want is just to have a day's worth of bowel movement. We don't realize that day's worth of bowel movement further dehydrates the body, increases the amount of poop that you build up over the next few weeks, and the poop winds up tearing holes, micro tears. You know how you exercise your muscles, and when you contracting and relaxing, you getting hypertrophy, and you're getting the hypertrophy from the micro tears in the muscle fiber, and that's how your muscles grow. Well, when you got poop stretching out your intestines and colon and all that, those micro tears doesn't develop into pecs. Those micro tears develop into bacteria and blood leaking in, bacteria and toxins rather leaking into the blood. So that's what we have to be mindful of, right? So anyway, this is why your body's backup is to just start to translate thirst signals to hunger signals, right? Thirst signals that will lead to hunger signals, right? Let's go back here for a second. What's up with my... Okay, here we go. Let's look up Let's go here. Neurons in the hypothalamic arcuate nucleus that express a Golgi-related peptide govern a critical aspect of survival, the drive to eat. Equally important to survival is the timing at which food is consumed. Seeking or eating food to alleviate hunger in the face of a more pressing threat, like the risk of predation, is clearly maladaptive. To ensure optimal prioritization of behaviors within a given environment, therefore, AGRP neurons must integrate signals of internal need states with contextual environmental cues. In this state-of-the-art review, we highlight recent advances that extend our understanding. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Classical feedback, neuron population. All right, anyway, so this is important because these neurons work with your melanin concentrating hormone neurons, right? These neurons both increase hunger cravings, right? Both increase hunger cravings, both can act on dopamine, both can drive you to the kitchen or to the store to get a soda, right? But you need to be able to properly interpret these cues and signals so that your negative programming doesn't overlap your natural necessities, your natural algorithms, right? Because that's what happens. We get a thirst signal and we go open the Minute Maid. We get a thirst signal and we crack open the Pepsi. We get a thirst signal and we go make us a delicious mango, watermelon, seeded grape, seeded grape, seeded watermelon, mango, peach, apple, and then we put some agave syrup in it. Ooh, then we put some dates in it. Oh, we're going crazy. And we don't realize that delicious, nutrient-dense smoothie we just made is 3,000 calories. It's 3,000 calories, and we make us a sandwich to eat with that. We make us a sandwich to eat with the smoothie, or we make us some burgers to eat with the smoothie, and we sit down and we knock off 5,000 calories at one time. One meal, one time. And we can't figure out how we can't get the weight off. Like, yo, but hold up, Inky. That was a veggie burger and a pretty good smoothie right there. We got to put things into reality. You can't have a 6,000, 7,000 day calorie intake without 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 outlay, right? Which is the reason why it's easier to count joules, right? Count electrical production as opposed to calories, right? Anyway. All right, so I just really wanted to nail that down, and then maybe, hold on, let's add something else to the conversation. Let me add something else to the conversation real quick. We got to add these guys to the conversation. Right? We got to add these guys to the conversation. Right? These guys run around and pump out peroxide. You see that? Peroxisomes contain oxidative enzymes that use molecular oxygen to produce peroxide. Silent killer. Silent killer. And these are like the opposite of mitochondria, right? Mitochondria takes the oxygen and produces, water, electricity, recycles ATP. These are little organelles just like mitochondria, but instead of producing the life affirming things, peroxisomes are like agents of Set, agents of chaos, agents of Apophis. They take those oxygens that would otherwise go to carbon dioxide or to producing energy, and instead they take those oxygens and produce peroxide. Peroxide destroys your cells from the inside out. Peroxide destroys your NRF2 system. So any actual detox, on top of functioning at like a organ, helping the liver, right? On top of helping the liver, it has to function at the NRF2 level to combat peroxisomes. Now, back in the days, even today, after more than 10 years of me talking to people about this, I still find people that's selling detox capsules on the internet, and then I start asking them about these other things, and they don't know what that is. I'm like, yo, you got a website and you selling detox herbs. You don't know what the NRF2 system is? Nah, I never heard of that. What's that? You got a website, you selling detox kits. You don't know what a peroxisome is? Nah, I never heard of that. What's that? If you don't know what these things are, it's impossible for you to build a plant formula to combat it. That's what a capsule is of herbs. You're creating a mixture of plants so that those plants can stimulate a process in the body or combat a process in the body. If you never heard of these things, it's impossible that you put together a plant thing to combat these things directly. Now, you might get some secondary peripheral, like you might get luck, puncher's chance. You might just, but you don't know what you're doing. So in many instances, these random mixtures that people don't even know what the detox system is or what it's supposed to be combating, NRF2 system, primary agent of chaos, peroxide building up in the cell. So before you even worry about toxin and this and that and the other, you have to deal with peroxide, right? You got to deal with peroxide. Inside every single one of your cells, you have these little things floating around that's looking to steal oxygen and take that oxygen and add it to a water molecule. That's all you got to do. Take one oxygen, add it to a water molecule. Bang, now you got peroxide. Remember, water is H2O. Peroxide is H2O2. So all you got to do is add one loose oxygen to a water molecule. And now, from something that promotes life, you got something that destroys life from the cells out. So now you have the sulfur in the NRF2 system running down, not because it's protecting the cell from toxins, but it's protecting the cell from itself, right? That's the reason why you have the sulfur in there. Sulfur in there, one of the primary jobs of sulfur is to function as an antioxidant against peroxide. So in the electron transport chain, you have iron and sulfur clusters. The iron is for the electricity, right? The iron is to move the electrons. The sulfur is to move the oxygen, right? Because the oxygen has to move and stop at cytochrome 4 so you can produce water, right? But you got the ops. Now, here's where melanocytes come in again. Melanocytes are some of the largest producers of catalase that you have in your body, right? This is the reason why they say black don't crack. One of the main reasons is because melanocytes produce catalase, right? Catalase is the enzyme that goes up against, it converts peroxide back into water and oxygen. So the more active catalase you get, the more your body will break down the peroxide before the peroxide can break down the cells. It's a lot going on inside cells. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say you can't just be a cokehead on Tuesday and then all of a sudden you detox on Wednesday and you are a herbal healer on Thursday. Like, that's crazy, right? It's just not possible, right? Because you need to know all these things, right? Inky taking shots at folks on Sunday. Yo, Drake just dropped a new freestyle last night, so my bad. My bad. My bad. Right. All right. So I think that about I think we did good. I think we did good with the week 9, day 1. I really want people to, like I said, drop all of those, drop your midterm papers into the Patreon. Direct messenger, right? Direct messenger. Now, we'll say you don't have to be a paid member of Patreon to drop me your midterm essay, right? But the thing is, you need this. You can't really cheat the system. Your midterm paper is going to be doo-doo if you try to do midterm based on the videos only, right? Because it's a lot of stuff that's in the book that you're not going to get from, right? It's a lot of stuff that's in the book that you're not going to get from just the videos. See, they trolling. Look how they trolling me in the chat. Look at this. Look how they trolling me in the chat. This is disrespectful. This, you know what I'm saying? This is crazy. This is crazy. Why y'all doing troll me like that, talking about Oreo cookies? You know what I had last night watching the fight? I had a couple of apples, I had a couple tangerines, and I had me a grapefruit. That's what I had. I was good with that. Yeah, I was good with that. My children, on the other hand, they was a little reckless. They was a little reckless. Yeah, they was a little reckless. So that's why they didn't even see the fight. It was like, yeah, Dad, we getting some snacks for the fight. Woo! They ate them goofball snacks and they was knocked out. Totally unconscious by the time the fight don't start until 11, 12, 1 o'clock. So by the time the fight started, they was gone. They was gone. That sugar had hit. They got crazy and sugar went into their blood in about 10 minutes. They was lit. Yeah, Crawford. Yeah, Dad. No, Canelo, old school. This one, that one. Dad, have you ever seen Muhammad Ali fight? I'm like, how old do you think I am? That lasted about 30, 40 minutes until it was bodies everywhere. Bodies was everywhere. I had to wake people up, carry people to their room. It was bodies everywhere. They went to sleep right where they was at. That sugar ain't nothing to play with. Listen, that sugar ain't nothing to play with, man. That sugar is crazy. Doc just skipped my super chat. Are you crazy? First of all, Shout out to Ears to the Street. Shout out to Ears to the Street. Ears to the Street is a lifer with us. Yeah. I know how well he's doing in his life based on how often we see him in the chat. Right? So when we don't see him in the chat, that means he done got his life together and he is not thinking about us. Business is going well. His stomach is going down. You know, shoulders then got bulky. You know, we don't see him. When that belly, when that belly start poking out a little, then he come on back to the shout out to my man though. This is my man though in real life. This is my man in real life. That's my man in real life. But no, I definitely don't be skipping no super chats. You crazy. See? Look, what I told y'all. I ain't even see it. What I told you. Yo. Dropped 22 pounds. Been stuck there for a week. I've been having a week on insomnia also. Should I increase carbs and strength training on Blue Magic Bitters and Ocean State currently? I would say that 22 pounds in 6 weeks is a lot. 22 pounds in 6 weeks is a lot. So what I would suggest you probably do is stick to your guns. I would say stick to your guns, right? And don't change up anything. You know what I'm saying? Don't change up anything. If anything, have a cheat day. Have a cheat day. Go order a pizza from wherever. You know what I'm saying? Have a cheat day. Eat something crazy. You know what I'm saying? Just be disciplined enough to not get, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we have a cheat day. The cheat day turned into a cheat weekend. Cheat weekend turned into cheat week. And before you know it, we just back to, square one looking crazy. So I would say give yourself a cheat day. Go get you some high quality ice cream or some pizza or something reckless. You know what I'm saying? Go do your thing and trick your body, right? Because 22 pounds in 6 weeks, you got a couple of things that could be going on, right? Your body could be adapting to the new program, right? In which case you need to trick your body, right? You need to trick your body. You know what I'm saying? Go have some reckless food, do your thing for a day. High calories, whatever. Don't even count. Just go crazy for a day, right? That could be a possible solution. The other thing could be you don't need a cheat day at all, right? You just need to stay focused because you could be getting remodeling going on, right? Remodeling going on. If you losing 22 pounds in 6 weeks, most of that's probably going to be water. And then you're going to have some fat, some body fat percentage dropping, right? So now you could be hitting into a groove because 6 weeks in, you're probably starting to raise up the muscle mass, right? You're probably starting to raise up the muscle mass. So there are sweet spots that aren't sweet, right? Like the sweet spots that aren't sweet is where your fat loss and your muscle building is kind of like battling for supremacy. And so if you don't know that that's going on, you'll get frustrated looking at the scale over and over because the scale ain't gonna budge. The scale might even go backwards. You know what I'm saying? Because muscle is so dense, So like I was saying the other day, last week, I have to constantly trick my body. I have to have, I got to have at least one starvation day a week where I'm at like 500, 800 calories. Like I'm just drinking herbs and like it's super light, you know what I'm saying? And then I have to have at least like 1 or 2 monster days where I overdo it, right? Or maybe if I don't overdo it on decent food, I'll have 1 day a week where I had something reckless and crazy, right? Because I have to keep my body is highly adaptive. I have a very addictive personality. So my body adjusts very quickly. And when it adjusts, it wants to keep doing that same thing. So I have to keep changing up my exercise routines and keep changing up, you know, not necessarily what I'm eating, but how much I'm eating, so that I keep my body in a state of flux. You know what I'm saying? So it could just be one of those two things. I would say that it's either your body's adapting to what you've been doing, in which case you need to switch it up and go crazy. Because sometimes when we get the urge to get healthier, you know what I'm saying, we go crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we exercising 11 hours a day. We counting steps. We drinking 6 gallons of water, fresh green juice from the top of the mountain. You know, we going crazy with it. And that's good up until, you know, your body starts to catch on to it. And then, you know, you just need some correction, or your body will make the correction. So you got to break the patterns up. You know what I'm saying? And then also keep in mind, like I said, remodeling. You know, your body starts building muscle. And what happens is, so you have the fascia, connective tissue, and then you have muscle, right? Those are in the middle layers of the body, right? Under the muscle, you have visceral fat. That's why you can't see it. In the skin, you have subcutaneous fat, which you can see. The subcutaneous fat covers up your muscles. So you can't really see muscle development that much at first. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing. The mirror and the scale, they might not be honest with you. You know, the first thing you'll notice in the mirror is you know you're on to something when you start seeing veins. Like when you start getting a little more vascular, you know, that should be a motivation to everybody. Like keep your foot on the gas, you know, and you'll start to notice the veins first in your hands and your feet. Right? Hands and feet first, you start to see some veins, you know you're onto something. It'll spread from the hands up the arms. It'll spread from the feet through the legs, right? As you start to see those veins more in the arms and the legs, you know that you're thinning out the layers of subcutaneous fat. And once it keeps going, eventually you're going to start to see the muscles. You're going to start to see cuts. You know what I'm saying? That's what we call it, cuts. But it's really just when you lower the fat enough to see the muscle underneath there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I would say. And then after 6 weeks, you earned it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you know what I'm saying? You earned it. You know what I'm saying? So I would say definitely go crazy. Have a day where you eat reckless. And then that should power you up to have a quadruply strong exercise day the next day. Because when we keep dieting down, you know, our muscles aren't, especially fast twitch, they're not really able to fully recruit, you know, the glycogen, because we the first thing we start cutting out is sugar. And then if we keeping our cardio active and steps and all that, the muscles never fully get sugared up. You know what I'm saying? So every so often, a reckless day is good. So you power up the muscles. And then you sleep on that and go crazy the next day. But yeah, my bad. I definitely didn't mean to skip no super chats. It's just when I be sharing screens and going other places, I can't see what's in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Because the chat is in my StreamYard. And when I share screen on StreamYard, I see that screen. So like if I hit this, bring this up, the Google page comes to the front of my StreamYard page. So I'll see what I'm looking at. I won't see the But we definitely not skipping those super chats. Yeah. That's the fast twitch muscle. So the fast twitch muscle is what's powering everything. The fast twitch muscle powers everything. And the fast twitch muscle, remember, that's white meat. Like when we go to the supermarket, for the people that eat meat, and we buying, white meat versus red meat is slow twitch muscle. White meat is fast twitch muscle. Red meat is red because it has a lot of capillaries. Slow twitch muscle has a lot of capillaries because slow twitch muscle uses the sugar that's in your blood to produce energy. Fast twitch muscle doesn't use the sugar in your blood. Fast twitch muscle uses the sugar it stores up inside of it, own self, as glycogen for energy, which is one of the reasons why fast twitch muscle is the main muscles that grow, because it wants to get bigger so it could do what? Hold more sugar. The more sugar you could put in there, right, as glycogen, the more glycogen you can get into the muscle, the more explosion, the more power. The more explosion, the more power. Endurance and all that comes from slow twitch muscle and, how efficient your body is at, freeing up fatty acids and all of that kind of stuff. That's totally separate. That's all through the bloodstream. Fast twitch muscle has very little to do with bloodstream. Fast twitch muscle is glycogen storage, right? This is why glycogen has its own network and communication with the brain. So that's why we promote glycogen depletion. Glycogen depletion sends very specific particular signals to the brain that's required to keep your metabolism going. And a lot of people, we all got that one or two family members that got the fast metabolism. Usually they have some way of keeping glycogen depletion going on in their life, whether they just, don't have any food at home, so they're never eating. They always on glycogen depletion. You know what I'm saying? Or I think that was me when I was little. You know what I'm saying? My fridge was always, unless I put something in it, my fridge was always empty. You know what I'm saying? So if I went to somebody else's house, woo, man, Thanksgiving, going to other family members' houses, I was eating like my life depended on it. They nicknamed me the garbage disposal. I eat my food, somebody else. I think that's how I got into like a fat problem. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got into a fat problem. You know what I'm saying? Because as I got older and I started getting a few dollars by myself consistently, I just wanted to eat. Like eating was, and I started liking, the idea of cooking up stuff and seasoning stuff. And I started enjoying making food. Ooh, that was a recipe for death for me. I already like to eat it. So like liking to make it oh man, that was crazy. Yeah. That was crazy for me. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, you get into these pockets. So you just got to be able to like change up the exercise routine, change up food selection, have a purpose with it, understand like every so often, at least every 2 weeks, depending on how fast your metabolism is, you should have one of those days where like on medicine on Tuesday nights, me, Hotep Jesus, Saint Hotep Jesus, and Professor Tanai, we do a class, and it's kind of educational mixed with like a lot of trolling and but we talk about a lot of important subjects over there. And one of the main things is being able to live and enjoy life, but at the same time know what we're doing. And so that's where kind of like eating with a purpose comes in. So understanding glycogen drives your athletic performance. You can judge your glycogen level sometime with just ambition, right? With just ambition. Them days that you don't feel like getting up, moving around, going to the gym, you didn't eat good the day before. So when you wake up in the morning, you're not having a successful cascade of catecholamines and neurotransmitters, right? Your serotonin and your dopamine levels is not right. That's based on what you did yesterday, right? That's not because you don't feel like going to the gym. You always feel like going to the gym. That's crazy. There's no such thing as I don't feel like exercising, right? That's like saying I don't feel like being alive. There's nobody, I don't feel like being alive. That's poor neurochemistry, leading people to say things that, will be classified as low ambition, low drive. And then under low ambition and low drive, you start to dip into depression and all of these classifications. But all of those classifications stem from, poor neurochemistry. So, yeah, you definitely got to get some cheating in. Yep. Get the greens in. Yeah, we're going to get the greens in. Sacred Soldier said it's extremely educational, Inky. Yes, but we definitely be trolling. We be trolling over there. But I think that's a part of what makes the show so dope. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like over here is purposeful learning. You know what you came for. You know what you're coming for over here. Over there, it's so much entertainment. Folks be hitting me up like, yo, I was laughing till tears came. You didn't even realize how much you learned because you enjoyed yourself so much. So yeah, that's definitely a blessing. I thank HJ and Tanai now. Tanai is regular with us. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I thank them as a daily blessing. A daily blessing.
The problem with Boosie.
Boosie?
Yeah, Boosie.
This man got a cancer, but he frying pancakes in olive oil. Homie.
Okay.
You tell me something ain't wrong with that, brother. You tell me something ain't wrong with that. When Boosie at home, laying comfortably, making bologna sandwiches for his 20 kids. This man got diabetes, homie.
Okay.
But he frying funnel cakes.
Funnel cake. You maybe get some avocado oil. That's a little bit more healthy for
it. You the one with the diabetes? Come on, eat.
Yeah, you gotta shoot up all the time. Mm-hmm.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.